It's been a great month to be a fan of New York City, but this week, it's about to get a lot tougher. We are entering what could be the most extreme heat wave this city has seen in over a decade. It can hit 100 degrees, with temperatures feeling as hot as 112 and staying hot into the weekend. We're ready, but we want to make sure you are too, especially if you're celebrating the World Cup or the 4th of July, or renting out MSG to get married. Hypothetically. The most important thing you can do in this heat is to stay indoors with air conditioning. This is crucial for kids, older adults, those with respiratory or heart conditions, as well as for your pets. Now, if you do go out, be mindful of signs of heat stroke, including confusion, dizziness, nausea, and trouble breathing. Call 911 immediately if you or someone you know is experiencing these symptoms. If you don't have AC, or yours simply isn't cutting it, find one of NYC's cooling centers, like this library. Visit nyc.gov/beattheheat to find one of the hundreds of cooling centers open near you, now through Saturday. You can also call 311 or just look outside. Link NYC kiosks will display directions to a nearby cooling center. If you're working outside in this heat, it's important to be extra careful and know your rights. If you're a delivery worker, you have the right to use the bathroom at any business you are picking up from. And remember, the city's protected time off law applies to heat-related health issues as well. We're especially concerned about keeping homeless New Yorkers safe. That's why, for the first time in city history, we're deploying cool vans that will provide any New Yorker who needs it medical care, water, and transport to cooling centers. We're also increasing street canvassing and other outreach this week. But we need your help too. So call 311 if you're worried about someone you see. We'll be keeping you updated all week with weather forecasts and resources to help you stay cool. Be sure to text Notify NYC to 692-692 for the latest updates. Let's look out for each other on this scorching first week of July. Stay cool, my friends.
What's up, family? So I'm watching this press conference, right? And the mayor gets up there and says, "We ready." And I had to pause the video right there. We? Who's we? Because from where I'm sitting, it don't sound like we at all. It sounds like a whole lot of regular people getting told to turn their air conditioner up to 78 degrees. Businesses first, homes right after, all for the grid, quote unquote. And here's the part that got me. The folks asking you to sweat through your shirt this summer, they ain't sweating, not one bit. And wait until I show you what's happening at Madison Square Garden this same week, and we're breaking all of it down, who this really hits and where it actually leads. So let's get into the actual words because I want you to hear it plain, not through somebody else's opinion. The axe is simple on the surface. Businesses turn your thermostat to 78 degrees to ease the stress on the power grid. Framed as safety, framed as we are looking out for the workers. Okay, now let's talk about what 78 degrees actually feels like in real life because there's a difference between what's being sold to you and what's landing on your skin. 78 in your house with New York humidity sitting on top of it, it's not cool. It's not even comfortable. It's the temperature you set when you're already cold and just trying to take the edge off. That's not relief in a heat wave. That's still hot, just with a fan blowing hot air around the room. Now, to be fair, and I'm going to give credit where it's due, the Department of Energy actually does recommend somewhere around 75 to 78 degrees in the summer. That's real. That's not made up. So, if we're being honest, the number itself isn't some wild conspiracy pulled out of thin air. But here's where it stops being a suggestion and starts being something else. This isn't your energy company sending out a friendly tip sheet. This is a directive coming from a man who does not pay your electric bill, telling you what temperature your household needs to sit at during a heat wave that could hit 112 degrees. And that matters, family, because it's the person making the rule and the person living under the rule need to be the same person, right? Or at least standing in the same heat. And we'll get to where that's true in a minute. And let's be clear on something else, too. This isn't new. Eric Adams told New Yorkers the exact same thing before Mamdani ever took office. Set your AC to 78. Unplug what you're not using. So this ain't one man's idea. This is a pattern with New York City leadership going back and forth, handing you the same request no matter who's in the chair. So the guidance itself, I'll say it again, isn't fake. The problem is who it's aimed at and who it's conveniently left off the list. Because right now it's business owners getting the ask. But watch how this moves. It starts with businesses and then it creeps towards your front door, towards your living room, towards your bedroom at 2 a.m. That's the part nobody wants to say out loud. So let's say it.
And to every business owner, please set your thermostats to 78 degrees to alleviate the stress on our power grid. Every worker in New York City has the right to a safe workplace, and that includes safety in extreme heat. For New Yorkers looking
Socialist Mayor Zohran Mamdani has a solution to beat the heat. He told New Yorkers, set your AC to 78 degrees, turn off lights and electronics you're not using, and unplug what you can. Everyone roasted him from stem to stern, with people saying this is so out of touch. One user posting 78 degrees. Welcome to communism, people. Another writing, do you feel the warmth of collectivism yet? One post calls out Mamdani voters and says, I have texted all my coworkers who voted for Zohran to send me a photo of their AC set to 78. And former LA mayoral hopeful Spencer Pratt also chimed with this warning, communism always goes the same way. First, they promised you the world, free this, free that, abundance for all. How? Don't ask. And they get into power, and the rationing begins. First a smiley ask, then a demand. Then you use too much energy, comrade. My favorite troll, actually, Kennedy, was Spencer Pratt's tweet where he said, show us your thermostat, commie.
Exactly.
And that's what we all want to see. Show us the proof, buddy.
Yeah, go ahead and...
New York City is set to hit highs of 100 degrees today, and Zohran Mamdani wants you to set your thermostat to 78 degrees in order to alleviate the power grid. Oh, but it's only business owners, Liz. I'm sorry, it starts with business owners and then it goes to everyone. Oh, well, the power grid needs more alleviating, so everyone should set their thermostat to 78 degrees. 78 degrees is not cool. It is heat. That is what I set my thermostat to when I am cold. When it's 100 degrees out, especially in a place like New York City where the heat gets trapped and it feels warmer, you should be setting your thermostat to like 72 degrees max. And here's the thing, you guys are the ones that are paying for the electricity for the air conditioning. So why are you listening to Zohran Mamdani? He doesn't control that. You do for now. But if people keep electing people like Mamdani, these Democrat socialists, because they're too lazy to work, they all want everything for free and they think that the government should be taking care of them, then sooner or later the government actually is going to have control over your thermostats. This is where the danger starts. So business owners, people of New York City, set your thermostats to whatever you want because Mamdani does not control you.
So, family, now here's where it gets good, because this same week, while regular folks are being told to sit at 78 degrees, Madison Square Garden is getting rented out for Taylor Swift's wedding. Same city, same heat wave, same week. And I need you to sit with that for a second. Think about it like this. You got hundreds of NYPD officers standing outside that building in uniform in the direct sun, and temperatures feeling like 112 degrees with zero relief, no AC unit blowing on them, no cooling van pulling up to check on them. They're just out there sweating through their vests, doing the job. Meanwhile, inside that building, in the same exact heat wave, the air is going to be cranked down cold for people in tuxedos and gowns. Nobody's asking the garden to hit 78. Nobody's asking the wedding party to feel a little warm for the sake of the grid. And that's why I keep coming back to this one idea. Show me your thermostat. Show me. Because everybody running around telling working people to sacrifice for the greater good, not one of them has pulled out their phone and shown us their own setting. Not the mayor, not the folks planning that wedding. If the axe is real, since they want to axe for 78 degrees, in this case, Zohran Mamdani, the mayor of New York, if the grid really needs it, then the axe should apply to the garden too, right? It didn't. Now, let's talk about what else came out of that same press conference, because this is where it gets a little slippery. There's language in there about delivery workers having the right to use the bathroom, quote unquote, at businesses they're picking up from. And there's language about cooling vans and outreach for homeless New Yorkers. On the surface, that sounds compassionate. Nobody's mad at making sure a person don't pass out from heat stroke. But let's be real for a second about what that actually means in practice. It means businesses, the same ones just told to bump their thermostat to 78, are now also expected to open their doors to foot traffic. They got no control over, no additional support, no extra staffing, just an expectation. And the cooling vans, that's a resource being stood up because the city admits its own cooling centers and infrastructure aren't cutting it. That's tax money going to patch a hole instead of fixing the pipe. And here's the double standard, plain as I can say it. Regular working people, the ones running a small shop or a laundromat, get a directive where real consequences attached. Anybody with money, anybody with access, anybody renting out the garden gets to keep living the way they were already living. A woman said it better than I could, as you guys just seen. Liz reacting to this clip. She says 78 is not cool. That's what I set it to when I'm cold, she said. That's the gut check right there, family. That's not a policy debate. That's just true. 78 degrees in New York and the New York heat wave is not relief. It's a suggestion dressed up as one. And this is exactly where it stops being about the power grid. This is where it starts being about who has to listen to when told and who gets to keep doing whatever they were already doing. Now, let's walk through the logic of this step by step because I don't want you to just feel some type of way about it. I want you to actually see the pattern laid out. Business owners got the axe first. That's where it started. Set your thermostat to 78, ease the grid, help us out. But as we already talked about, the direction this thing is moving is toward your house, toward your living room. That's not me guessing, family. That's just how these asks work. Business first, home second, then it's not an axe anymore. We're not asking you, we're telling you. So let's define something plain because I know the word gets thrown around a lot and half of the time nobody explains what it actually means. Socialism at its core in plain English is when the government or the folks working close with government end up controlling enough of your daily life that what used to be a request turns into a requirement. That's it. That's the whole concept. It don't start with soldiers kicking your door in. It starts with a suggestion. And suggestions, when the right hands are holding enough control, turn into rules real quick. Think about it like this. Imagine you got a landlord, and that landlord comes to you one day and says, hey, can you please keep the noise down after 10 p.m.? Reasonable, right? You'll probably say, sure, no problem. But now imagine a year goes by and that same landlord starts telling you when you can do your laundry, when you can have company over, what you can and can't cook in your own kitchen because the smell bothers somebody down the hall. And you go to fight it and realize, hold on, I don't own this building. I just live here. That please you agreed to at the start turned into a rule you can't fight because the power was never in your hands to begin with. That's exactly what we're watching play out with this thermostat conversation because today it's your AC. And if we're being real with each other, the pattern don't stop there. Tomorrow, it's the kind of car you're allowed to drive, whether it runs on gas or not. Next is your stove, whether it's allowed to run on gas either. Then it's what's in your grocery cart. All of it wrapped up and handed to you with a bow. Okay? All of it wrapped up and handed to you with a bow that says the greater good. Every single step sounds small on its own. That's the whole trick. Now, to be fair, right? To be fair, and I want to say this clearly because I'm not here to make everything sound like a setup. All right. Not every act coming from a city is some hidden agenda. Sometimes a power grid really is stress. Sometimes there's real numbers behind a real warning and asking people to ease up during a heat wave. It's just common sense on a practical level. I'm not going to sit here and pretend every single request from a government is a trap. All right. That wouldn't be honest. And I told y'all from the jump, I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here to break it down straight. But here's where it turns for me. And this is the pivot that matters. The problem isn't the ask, right? Axing. Never once turn it back on themselves first, right? And what I'm trying to say is the problem is the people making the ask never once turn it back on themselves. If the grid is really that stressed, show me the mayor's thermostat before you show me a directive, is my point. If the sacrifice is really necessary, show me it happening in a building where the wedding's at before you tell a small business owner to sweat through his shift. Up in City Hall, the mayor's office, show me the thermostat. The mayor's mansion in New York, show me his thermostat as well there. And that's the whole point there, family. Power that never gets checked don't stay small. It don't stay contained to one press conference about one heat wave. It grows. It grows in your kitchen, into your car, into the thermostat sitting in your bedroom. One emergency at a time. One, just this once at a time. Until one day you look up and realize you've been handing over pieces of your own house for years without noticing. So let's bring it back to the actual lesson here because that's what this is really about. Pay attention, close attention when leadership asks you to give up something they are not giving up themselves. That's the whole test. That's the whole thing you need to walk away with today. And here's the real takeaway, plain as I can put it. Accountability don't start with what somebody says in a microphone. It starts with watching what they actually do when the cameras move on to the next story. Words are cheap, family. Actions is where the truth lives. And I'm going to bring something in here that's been sitting with me the whole time I was breaking this down. Matthew chapter 23, verse 4 says, They tie up heavy burdens, hard to bear, and lay them on people's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with so much as a finger. Now, let me explain that plain because I know not everybody grew up in the church. I don't want anybody feeling left out of this. That verse is talking about leaders who write rules for everybody else to live under while making sure those same rules never touch their own life. And you tell me that don't connect straight to what we just spent the last few minutes breaking down. That's the mayor telling working people to sweat at 78 degrees while saying he stands up for the working people. While Madison Square Garden stays ice cold for a wedding, that's the burden getting tied to your back, tight, while his stay untouched. Mayor Zohran Mamdani, comfortable, never even feeling the weight of it. Now, if you're not a spiritual person, I still want you walking away with something you can use because this ain't about religion. This is about common sense. You don't have to believe in anything to know this simple truth. Watch what a person does, not what they say. If a rule only ever applies to you and never once applies to the person making it, that tells you everything you need to know about that rule. Real leadership means going first. It means taking the same heat, literally and otherwise, that you're asking everybody else to stand in. Anything less than that isn't leadership, family. That's just somebody using you. So let me ask you straight up. Would you set your own thermostat to 78 degrees this summer? And why or why not? Drop that in the comments. I want to hear it. Hit the like button. Share this with somebody who needs to hear it. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on your post notifications. Spread that peace, love, and positivity. Let the love supersede the hate, family. And I hope you guys enjoyed and had a wonderful 4th of July and stay safe and also cool. I'll catch you next one. I appreciate you for rocking with me. And as always, love extended to you. I love you guys and I appreciate you. And stay amazing. On that note, peace.